What if I told you that a mere piece of paper could be the key to igniting hope and despair in a nation at war? This week, a controversial decree was signed by a leader who claims victory, yet behind closed doors, whispers of disillusionment fester. Can sanctions truly bring justice, or have they become mere political theater? As darkness descends on countless homes, a peculiar contrast emerges. While officials tout progress, citizens grapple with daily blackouts and soaring prices. In a world where Ukraine's power grid is under relentless attack, tens of thousands find themselves plunged into darkness. The chilling sound of sirens echoes through the empty streets of Kyiv, marking another day of despair. While Ukrainian forces retaliate against Russian targets, cities like Belgorod shroud themselves in shadows, punctuated only by the distant roar of drones. Is this the cost of standing resilient? However, not all is as it seems. Just as Ukraine faces challenges, a surprising announcement from the Czech Republic shakes the very foundation of alliances. The new leader boldly declared that Ukraine is unprepared for EU membership, echoing sentiments from its neighboring allies. First, we must end the war, his words reverberated across borders. Against a backdrop of political maneuvering, does this signify an emerging rift among perceived allies? As support wanes, is the hope of European integration slipping from Kyiv's grasp? Furthermore, a scandal erupts within Ukraine, illuminating the delicate fabric of national identity. Officials are now instructed to curb hostility regarding language and religion, teaching that speaking Russian is not a crime. Is this a genuine step towards tolerance, or a desperate attempt to mend fractured relationships? With administrative sanctions against Russia announced yet again, the illusion of control hangs in the air. Official reports proclaim a robust response, yet the same names resurface, repeated with little change to reality. The silence from multilateral partners suggests a lack of seriousness, while vehicles of war continue their relentless production across borders. Does this bureaucratic extension of sanctions hold any weight, or is it a band-aid on deep wounds? In the corridors of power, officials proclaim, another package of sanctions will lead us to victory, but the flickering lights betray their words. As facts unravel, gas prices rise, blackouts persist, and life at the front remains stagnant. Are these empty promises merely a way to placate the populace, as real support dwindles? As Europe grows wary and turns its gaze elsewhere, the discontent within Ukraine fermented. The public tires of hollow victories and endless struggles. What does this mean for a nation taught to celebrate while living in darkness? As silence blankets the streets, an uncomfortable truth lingers. Are the people truly in control of their narrative, or merely spectators of a dire performance? With the shadows lengthening, the question remains, how long can this state of affairs endure before the facade crumbles? Will the common people be left to navigate their fate in a system that promises much but delivers little? A reckoning looms. In the previous segment, we discussed how the Ukrainian government implemented a new directive that requires officials to avoid inciting hostility related to language, nationality, or religion. Despite the initial positive impression, this initiative seems disingenuous, given the previous actions that promoted division within the country. At first glance, this initiative seems noble, yet it reeks of irony. For 2 years, the very state pushing this mandate has stoked the flames of division, aggressively sidelining the Russian language from schools and media, urging citizens to abandon it in favor of Ukrainian. Suddenly, the same officials who labeled Russian speakers as adversaries are now hastily backtracking to champion tolerance. It's as if someone high up realized that such divisive rhetoric was backfiring on their authority and scrambled to shift the narrative. In the halls of power in Kyiv, this is being labeled as the humanization of state discourse. In reality, it's born out of fear of losing the remaining support in a nation where millions still communicate in Russian, whether at home, work, or even in the military. To foreign observers, everything appears rosy. It seems Ukraine is moving towards European standards. However, inside, it appears as a panicked attempt to rein in prior fanaticism. The language law remains intact, penalties still apply, and now they just added a note to communicate politely while enforcing fines. The government attempts to present a more human face, but it might be too late. Language has already morphed into a symbol of division. And no decree from the cabinet will undo that. Ukraine finds itself ensnared in a cycle of triumphalist reports. Every day, new proclamations, updated sanctions, and vibrant slogans flood the airwaves while darkness looms in homes. Authorities insist everything is under control. Yet control falters when faced with harsh reality. Electricity is rationed, prices soar wildly, and promises go unfulfilled. Politicians continue to boast about pressuring Russia, while the internal pressure escalates weekly. The populace is weary of heroism on credit, tired of an endless conflict, and frustrated by victories that yield no tangible results. Europe turns away, partners grow fatigued, and within the nation, a palpable anxiety simmers, a hesitation to voice what everyone secretly thinks. This is a country that declares victory daily, where reports replace truth, and where the news serves as a sedative. The most chilling aspect? The silence that follows the word victory. What happens next when the facade of triumph crumbles? Can the disillusioned voices of the people resonate louder than the political rhetoric? Stay tuned as we unveil the upcoming twists in this gripping saga. In this chapter, the narrative highlights the disconnect between symbolic actions and their tangible effects, particularly regarding sanctions against Russia. While Ukraine's leadership boasts victories, citizens face soaring prices and blackouts. As Europe grows wary, a shift in Czech leadership delivers a stark message: Ukraine's EU membership is off the table until the war ends. This moment signals a potential unraveling of support for Ukraine, leaving many wondering where the country stands. While Ukraine focuses on drafting sanctions, Russia ramped up drone production, turning up the heat on Ukrainian energy systems. Each announcement of a new sanctions package is met with rising distress among the populace. Gas prices climb, electricity is frequently cut off, and the front line remains stagnant. It feels increasingly as if these sanctions serve President Zelensky more than they threaten Russia, a tool for him to claim progress rather than a genuine strategy for victory. Just as Ukraine celebrated what they termed a sanction win, a cold breeze swept through Europe. In a significant shift, the Czech Republic welcomed a new leader, Andrej Babiš. His blunt declaration struck a nerve: Ukraine is not ready to join the European Union. He emphasized the need to first conclude the war, underlining a collective European hesitation to expand during their own crises. The confidence Ukraine once enjoyed is rapidly waning. The chilling echoes of truth spread across Europe. Allies like Babiš stoke fears of hosting foreign crises. "This isn't our problem," he stated regarding arms supplies, sending shockwaves through diplomatic circles in Brussels. As one ally after another shuts their doors, frustration sweeps through the Ukrainian populace, once fueled by hope. The media continues to parade a facade of control, while beneath lies the reality of a weary public staring into the abyss. As Czech statements resonate, they echo the sentiments of other leaders. Hungary's Orbán speaks of aid extortion, further isolating Ukraine. The disappointment mounts, many remember fresh promises turned cold. The halls of power narrate a tale of resilience, yet the streets whisper a different story, one of exhaustion and uncertainty, of a country once knocking on European doors, now met with silence and reluctance. Does true support still exist, or are these just empty words? As winter approaches, the energy crisis deepens, and hope flickers like a failing light bulb. Will the struggle for survival overtake the struggle for unity? Only time will tell if Ukraine can turn the tide amidst growing desolation. In the previous segment, we explored how Ukraine's hope for integration into Europe is slipping away. Despite optimistic declarations from government officials, the harsh reality paints a different picture. Europe grows weary of its commitment, as it grapples with its own crises, leaving Ukraine isolated. The stark lack of support raises questions about genuine alliances as winter looms and energy issues worsen. Every night, Ukraine braces itself as the relentless assaults on its energy infrastructure intensify. In the Chernihiv region, darkness envelopes nearly 50,000 homes, plunging families into despair. Power outages are now a grim routine, 3 hours of light followed by 3 hours of darkness. Repair crews scramble to fix what they can, yet each drone strike leaves behind more destruction than before. The fleeting hopes of stability vanish as repaired substations ignite again just a day later. On public broadcasts, officials assure the nation that everything remains under control. Yet, residents clutch candles and generators, navigating their homes in the chill of early winter, adapting to a life dictated by timers. Hurry, they whisper, racing against the clock to power devices, boil water, and quickly iron clothes, only to hear the hum of drones overhead. At the same time, Ukrainian drones target Belgorod. Confusion reigns as Russian citizens experience blackouts and their media report on the chaos. This conflict has morphed into a battle of resources and technology, where drones replace traditional weaponry and the struggle for energy efficiency becomes paramount. Each attack is met with retaliation, and the cycle of destruction continues without respite. While government spokespeople speak of resilience and long-term strategies, everyday Ukrainians find themselves merely focused on survival. Light occurs by schedule, water flows based on availability, and internet connectivity is a matter of luck. As winter descends, the disarray of the energy system weighs heavily on everyone, from Kyiv to Lviv. But even amid turmoil, official statements remain unyielding: we will endure. We will prevail. Yet the unasked question looms large: who is we? The answer echoes in the hearts of ordinary citizens fighting through the darkness. In a surprising turn, the Ukrainian government has issued a new directive aimed at quelling internal strife. Officials are now forbidden from inciting hatred based on language, nationality, or religion. This decree is tinged with irony, as the very government that pushed for the dominance of the Ukrainian language over Russian is now advocating for unity and tolerance. Yet, beneath the surface, this change feels like desperation. Bureaucrats are now required to engage respectfully, regardless of the language in which they are spoken to. Once viewed as enemies, Russian speakers are being reminded that they too belong. Has desperation struck a chord within the administration? The shift comes not from genuine desire but from the fear of losing internal support as millions continue to speak Russian in their daily lives, at home and in public. While the exterior presents an image of progress towards European standards, the internal reality reveals a panicked response to prior rigid policies. The draconian language laws remain, yet a new demand for civility emerges while disciplinary measures persist. Ukraine finds itself once again caught in a cycle of proclamations of victory. Each day ushers in new announcements, sanctions, and slogans, projecting confidence on screens while leaving the dimly lit homes in utter darkness. Authorities proclaim everything is managed, but the truth lies in the grim hours without electricity, soaring prices, and promises never fulfilled. As pressure mounts within the country, the collective exhaustion of a prolonged conflict and unyielding heroism surfaces. With partners growing weary, and allies turning away, the atmosphere thickens with irritation and the fear to voice the unspoken thoughts. Can Ukraine break free from this cycle of hollow victories and finally uncover the genuine support it desperately needs? Only time will unveil the answers amidst the silence that follows each proclamation of triumph.